Hey mathematicians, it's Miss Johnson. Today we're going to be looking at adding fractions. Now I want you to take notes on this, so make sure you put your date, add your title, and go ahead and write down the steps before I start doing the example. So pause the video, write down the steps, and then you can do the examples with me. All right, our first example is going to be 10 and 1/6 added to 5 and 3/4. Okay, so our first step is to find a common denominator by using the multiples of the two denominators. So our denominators are 6 and 4. So we're going to look at the multiples of 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. And of course, the multiples will go on forever, but we're going to go ahead and stop there. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Again, the multiples will go on forever, but we'll stop there because I see that both sets of multiples have a 12. So our denominator is going to change to a 12. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 12 down for both fractions, but I'm going to think about the fractions separately. Okay, so I'm going to look at the first fraction, 1/6 first. So I'm going to say, okay, 6 times what value gives me 12? So 6 times 2 gives me 12. Now to keep the fraction equivalent, whatever I multiply the denominator by, I have to multiply the numerator by. So I'm going to say 1 times 2 is 2. And this step that we're doing right now is we are creating like fractions by multiplying the numerators and denominators by the same value. Okay, so now let's look at the 3/4. So 3/4, we're going to say 4 times what gives me 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. Whatever I multiply the denominator by, I have to multiply the numerator by. So 3 times 3 is 9. All right, our third step is going to be to add the fractions by adding the numerators. Okay, our denominator will stay the same. And the reason our denominator stays the same is because that's the size of the piece. So we're going to add the numerators. So I'm going to say 2/12 plus 9/12. So I'm going to say 2 plus 9 is 11. So 2/12 plus 9/12 is 11/12. Okay, then our fourth step is to add the whole numbers. So 10 plus 5 is 15. And then our last step is to simplify the fractions as necessary. So when I look at 11/12, I think to myself, is there a number that goes into 11 and 12 that won't have a remainder? And no, there isn't. So our answer, so that means it can't be simplified. So that means our answer is 15 and 11/12. Okay, let's do another example. Make sure that you've got that one all copied down in your notes. So pause the video if you need to. All right, and we're going to do number 2, a second example. All right, let's say that we have, 8 and 4/5, and we want to add to it 6 and 1/2. All right, so again, we look at our multiples of our denominator. So our denominator is 5 and 2. So we'll do 5, 10, 15, 20. And again, we could keep going, but we're going to stop. And I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, and I can stop because I see I have a 10 and a 10. You can also use a multiplication chart for this to help you, because the multiplication chart is just the multiples. It's like skip counting, right? Okay, so our new denominator is going to be 10. So we're going to say 5 times what gives me 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. Whenever you multiply the denominator by, you have to multiply the numerator. So 2 times 4 is 8. So 4/5 equals 8/10. And then we're going to do the same procedure with the bottom. We'll say 2 times 5 is 10. And whatever I do to the denominator, I have to multiply the numerator by the same thing. So 1 times 5 is 5. And our next step is to add the numerators. So 8/10 plus 5/10. So I say 8 plus 5 is 13. So 8/10 plus 5/10 is 13/10. Then I say 8 plus 6 is 14. Then I look to see if I can simplify. Hopefully you noticed that the numerator is larger than the denominator. That means we have an improper fraction. And to fix that, we need to see how many groups of 10 are in 13. Because remember, our denominator tells how many pieces we have. So we want to see how many groups of 10. That will give us a whole. So we have one group of 10. There's 10 pieces in it. And that leaves us 3 pieces left over. So our remainder becomes our numerator, and then our denominator stays the same. So the remainder becomes the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So 13/10 is equivalent to 1 3/10. So we have to change this 13/10 to 1 3/10. So we have 14 wholes, and that 1 3/10 is equivalent to that 13/10 is equivalent to 1 3/10. So we have to add that together to give us our answer, 15 3/10. And that's our answer. So that's how you add fractions. So make sure that you have all the steps as well as the examples written down in your notebook. So go back, rewind the video, pause it, do whatever you need to do to get the notes into your notebook. Okay? And make sure you refer to them if you ever get confused.